Hey guys, I'm Joe, and this is a Bradford built gate. All right, so we're here with a drive gate that we just recently did. This particular gate is a slide gate. There were some unique considerations and needs here. So this is actually a side entrance or side driveway, but it's the only driveway they have, which leads to the back side of their house and a carport. With that, they needed some way to secure the property, but have something that was easy and accessible to be able to just hit a button, drive through, and hit a button to close back. So that's why they were looking for an automated gate, which this is. The slide gate was the best option here because we didn't have enough room to swing the gate either out or in without being either inhibiting the traffic here or swinging into area where they needed to park cars and stuff. So that's why they opted for the slide gate, which worked out really well. There are a couple things you got to consider when you're looking at a slide gate. You do want to be able to keep this area of the gate as level as possible. And thankfully in this case, they were pouring a new driveway and we were able to coordinate with the concrete contractor to be able to get those elevations right and keep this level across the gate opening. With that though, the two most common drive gates with operators are either going to be a slide or a swing. The swing gates are typically most common, but there are restrictions like we talked about that you need the space to be able to swing in or out. They are most common though because they're the simplest and typically the least expensive. Different options can contribute to that, but typically as a rule of thumb, the swing gates are a little less. The slide gates, again, work great in certain settings just like this, but typically they are a little bit more than a swing gate, and they do have a little bit different maintenance requirements with making sure that the chain is greased and kept up with to keep them operating as they should. All right, so these gates and gate operators are great for different access. In this particular case, it's set up with a remote. So you click the remote to open it and click the remote to close. Here, they didn't really have the room to have like a keypad, but that's also a common entry point, is to have a keypad out here to where somebody could come up, put in a code, open it, and get in. Again, in this case, we can take a look, but they didn't have room to really have an exit sensor, but that is a common thing. They didn't want to have an exit sensor here and be moving cars around and then just be triggering the gate to open up. But if you can imagine an entry to a property, which is very common, and a longer driveway, that's a very common option to have some sort of exit sensor on the inside of the property, which is only triggered by your vehicle to where when you drive out, the gate automatically opens for you to leave. Those are typically either a loop in the ground or a sensor it's an electromagnetic sensor. It picks up on the movement of your wheels, so the movement of your wheels changes that electromagnetic field enough to trigger that sensor and open it up for you. So those are very common options when you're looking at a drive gate entry system. And then with these gate operators, safety is a big thing, and you want to make sure that you design and install these to where they're going to be safe and operate correctly. So as you can see on the front, these are what we would call a photo eye. These eyes shoot a beam over to a reflector, then that beam is returned back to this eye, and as long as that beam is unbroken, the gate operates as it should. I can demonstrate that here. This one is for the close direction, so as this gate closes, if that so I'll get it start closing. If you break that beam here, it's going to stop the gate and open back up to the open position. That's designed to, if there was either someone or a vehicle or something in the path as it's trying to close that's breaking that beam, it's going to stop it from closing and open back up. Another note is probably one of the most common troubleshooting issues is the photo eye. So if you can imagine like your garage. Whenever your garage is open, you hit the button, it's like, dang it, it won't close. And it's usually those sensors that they're either misaligned or something's blocking it. So it's no different with the gate. Most of the time, if your gate is open and it won't close, that's definitely the first thing you need to check, just to make sure that these lenses and reflector are wiped clean. And then there's lights here that indicate whether it's powered up and aligned. So as long as those lights are on, it's aligned. But if they're not, then you may have to do a little tweaking to make sure it's aligned and see if that's the issue of keeping the gate open. But just a little note to check there. All right, so on this gate, we've talked about it being a slide gate. We would refer to this gate as a V-groove slide gate, and that's referring to the track that it rolls on. So as you can see here, it's like an inverted V. There's a ridge here that runs the length of this opening, and then also the open direction. There's a track that it rolls on, and then there are wheels. I'll let it come to us a little bit, but there's V-groove wheels that are shaped specifically for this track that it rolls along. But it serves two purposes. This track supports the gate, but it also keeps the gate in line. So that's very important on these operators, that there's not too much variance in and out as the gate rolls back and rolls forward. So these V-groove tracks work really great for these slide gate operators. The other option in a slide gate would be a cantilever, which has a counterbalance and operates a little bit differently than the track, but that is another option for a slide gate. The limitation with the cantilever is that it requires more space. They're longer with the counterbalance, and it requires more space to roll back and open all the way. So those are considerations to take into account when you're comparing slide gates. Then with the slide gate, they are typically chain driven like this one is. So you can see here on the front that there's a bracket that goes to a chain, and this chain runs down into the operator through some gears that are driven by the motor, and then comes back here to the back end of the gate and is attached there as well. So you can see that it operates that chain. Now you may have noticed too, I can open it, that the chain driven system along with the motor that Max uses is very quiet and works really well. So there's not a lot of noise with this setup, and is definitely a benefit there. Now you have to visualize a little bit. If you compare this though to a swing gate operator, the swing gate is not going to be chain driven. It's going to have either an actuator arm that attaches to the post in the gate and swings it either in or out, or on a pad mounted swing gate, it's going to look similar to this, but there's going to be a top pivot point here that goes to the motor, and then an arm that swings that gate in. So that's just kind of a general breakdown or comparison between the slide and the swing there as far as the operation and the motors. All right, so this particular operator is a Max operator, or maximum controls. And so this is a Max 1500 Pro, which is one of their slide gate options. And all of Max's operators, whether they're slide or swing, are very well engineered machines. They're super heavy duty. The electronics in them are the best that we've found. So with any kind of exterior outdoor electronic component, no matter what anybody says, you always have risk of electronic interference or specifically lightning damage. So that's always a risk, that's always a possibility. But Max has designed and taken measures to limit and minimize that as much as possible. So yeah, I can't say enough about the electronics in here. It's super rare to have to replace a control board or have to do something with the electronics. They have it dialed in, and so that's why, I mean, we're not sponsored by Max or anything, but just through the years, several hundred service calls on different brands and installing different brands, we choose Max because of their quality and just how well built and how well they service their components and their machines. So on this model of operator, this is an electric model. So they did have an electrician run power over here to power this motor. There are solar options on that, so you can also do this same operator with a solar pack if you're unable to get power to your gate location. Now, the only caveat with that is if you are going to do solar, there's great solar options. You just want to make sure that you've got great southern exposure. So you want to have a good clear area to the south. And so if you don't, or you got tree cover, you want to take that into consideration. Maybe cut things back or whatnot where you're positioning your solar panels. But we've had a lot of success with solar setups, and we like solar operators as well. With that, both electric and solar, these do have a battery backup. So with this motor, if say the power goes out, the batteries will continue to operate this gate. So you'll have a certain amount of cycles in those batteries before they go down in the event of power interruption. But that's a nice convenient thing. There's also settings in here. You can set your gate to automatically open or automatically close if you lose your AC power. That way it gives you options of how you want to either stay open or close if the power goes out. We can't say enough good things about Max, and I would strongly suggest looking into Max specifically if you're looking into a gate operator. Hey guys, thanks for checking out this gate with us. Make sure and like this video, it helps us out a ton, and subscribe to the channel for more gates just like this.